morning. Today, I'm joined by my guest, Ellis Moore. He's the Business Development Executive from Genmar IT. Ellis, how are you doing?
Very well, thank you, David. Self?
Yeah, really good today. I'm really sort of intrigued to talk to you about this topic. But the title is The Secret to Employee Retention. And before we get into why exactly it's pertinent for your company to talk about that, let's just look at employee retention for a second and try and break it down. Employee retention obviously is one of those things that tends to sort of plague our industry, particularly. I imagine it's prevalent in others as well. But what is the cost of that? How much is employee retention sort of costing our industry?
So, I mean, a lot of people have done some great research on this already, and reports have come out. You know, Rayner personnel have done some reports recently with some useful information on there. So it's nothing new, like you said, but it's definitely quite prevalent in the estate agency world. You know, the average right now estate agency wage is 31,600. If you take quite a conservative estimate on that, each employee replacement is roughly £6,300. And that's not in taking into account the time required. So it's on average 40 days to find and hire a new member of staff, and then an additional 28 weeks of training on top of that. So that's 28 weeks of unproductive time, which is more difficult to put a cost on that. It's a massive impact to people's businesses.
So in terms of the cause of that retention, I mean, there's been plenty of articles recently in industry press talking about how much we get paid on average as estate agents, but are there other sort of reasons why we're not able to retain as much talent as we want to?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's something that's been well covered, the reasons why, pay, but also just the workload and the stress. It's a fast-paced industry, and also people are looking for more flexible like work-life balance as well. If you look at a UK as a whole, like ONS puts out studies on this as well, suggesting that is work-life balance, motivation, organizational structure, and just over workload as well. So I'd say pay comes up higher in the estate agency world in comparison to UK like averages.
Yeah.
There's definitely more that can be done.
So I have to ask you this question, right? It's because this has been a bit that's intrigued me ever since this came through. But we could talk to recruitment experts about this. We could perhaps talk to people who deal with, I don't know, I guess mental health and other things that are prevalent in our industry as to how we can help sort of employee retention. But I mean, you're an IT company. So where does an IT company get off on talking about employee retention, and how does tech come into that?
That's a great point, and it's there might seem like there's some sort of like tenuous link, but it is interesting. You know, the usual status quo, which is very well documented. Like you said, in the industry, there's lots of people putting out great information about how you can improve your retention rates with training and development and career progression and management and company culture and all things like that. The technical side is just well overlooked from our point of view, and it's what we've been helping our clients with, is improving retention with the technology in the company.
So does that sort of speak to making their job circumstances, making it easier for them to actually carry out the role that they need to? I mean, you mentioned earlier that this is a very stressful job, that there can be a lot of hours, there can be a lot of different factors, and we're constantly juggling different I suppose facets of our career. Tech can bring all of that together, presumably.
Yeah, that's it. Everything else that can be dealt with within a company, like I said, it's well documented, but the tech side that's overlooked, your infrastructure, the systems that you're using, and the processes, they're all around the decisions you make and around the tech you involve in your company. A substandard IT solution, whatever that might be, it's just going to add on additional frustrations, which on top of a very fast-paced, stressful job as it is. So including any downtime, including repetitive tasks that could be automated and things like that. It's things that are very much overlooked that could be taking off a huge amount of stress and just improving like the workflow for our agents. And it has a great impact. And it's just not very well covered.
I can see the headlines in the property industry. IT expert says that clunky CRM systems leads to people leaving the industry in droves. But it's true for anybody that's sort of had to deal with the sort of tech and some of the legacy tech that we've had over the years as well. There can be certain parts of it that are just really arduously sort of painful to get through, and can make a simple job even more complicated than it needs to be, whereas the tech should be there to make our lives simpler. So I can hear that, yeah.
And it's not even just the companies that are setting up with antiquated systems. Even the businesses that have got a good IT solution in place, that there's always room for improvement. And other industries are a bit more of ahead of a curve than we are in the estate agency world.
So where do we start with this? Because it's a monumental task, and I guess that's what we talk to agents about every day. Where do you start with picking apart a tech problem? But can you give us sort of 3 tips to try and get on top of it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, obviously, the caveat to these is these need to be extremely thought through and personalised for each individual estate agent. These aren't kind of one size fits all solutions. These need to be thought of and create like personal solutions. But I think the main one that is definitely picked up in other industries a lot more, definitely adopted a lot earlier, is automation. The amount of repetitive tasks that are kind of put up with in the estate agency world definitely needs to be looked at. And one study showed that 20% of CEOs' times, their work time, could be automated. If that's for CEOs, then there's a lot more time that can be saved for the admin roles of an estate agency. Another study showed that 60% of all occupations can automate 30% of their regular activities. So much time that is being wasted. And the beauty of automation as well, this isn't IT companies trying to replace your jobs. This is just there to try and supplement and change them.
Yeah.
Automation will take away the role that, it's not the fulfilling role. Your highly trained estate agent shouldn't be wasting.
Repetitive tasks is not what we're all about. It's not job satisfaction, is it?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly that. This is a bit more of a study for the UK average, but in the UK, SMEs that did adopt automation saw a 21% increase in job satisfaction. So it's taken away the repetitive, mundane tasks that really your overqualified staff shouldn't be wasting their time and efforts on when they've got more important. They've got tenants and landlords chasing them up and things like that. So yeah, it's probably one of the most overlooked, starting to become more built in with CRMs, but really it should be coming from your IT department, IT company, whoever is there. They should be an extension of your company, and they should be proactively finding solutions to improve your workflows from start A to finish. And assist you rather than just waiting for you to kind of request ideas.
So that's the automation side of things. Is there anything else that agents could be looking at?
Yeah, I think the main one is like going back to like one of the main reasons why people are looking to swap jobs. Majority of estate agents that are moving jobs is the employee's decision rather than the employer. Which again, if you compare that to the UK average, that's much higher. I think it's 81% of estate agents are deciding to change jobs rather than their employer, making that decision. And a big factor of that is just the flexibility. It comes up a lot in lots of different studies. So flexibility can be a lot of things. Obviously, you can't have estate agents working from home 100% of the time, but the vast majority of estate agents are not even employing like a hybrid working model at all. The reasons why would be interesting, you know, if we actually got to speak to more estate agents, why they're doing that. All of our clients at least have a remote option. It may just well be they don't have access to their CRMs remotely, or you know, management don't trust their staff to work from home at all. There's a lot of solutions you can put in place there from a technical point of view.
And it's sort of history has taught us that makes sense to sort of get on top of that anyway, because we can never say it's never going to happen again. Last time, I think for the vast majority of estate agents, lockdown 1 took everybody by complete surprise, and a lot of us found ourselves with IT systems that we quickly found the gaps of working where we didn't have that sort of joined up technology to be able to seamlessly work from home. It's all well and good talking about cloud computing, but a lot of it needs to talk to each other, and very quickly we found out where the weak spots were. So getting on top of that allows your employees today that flexibility, but it also safeguards you for the future, just in case.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly that. And yeah, you might not have the choice because of something like the C word again, but the employees do want the choice. That's what all the studies show. You know, employees want to be able to at least have some more flexibility, and if your systems aren't in place for that, or if it's a matter that you don't trust your employees to work from home for whatever reason, you know, there's things you can put into place to help monitor performance and productivity and activity, whether it's like live feeds of your data that you already have, rather than just waiting for monthly reports that are manually put together. You know, there's technical solutions there that really help both sides, you know, that trust side and the ability to work from home.
Fantastic. So there's obviously you know, when people are considering this, the reasons that employers very often put off these sort of changes is that it might not be blaringly sort of obvious to them right now that they need to, but secondly, it can also be cost. Some of the things that you've talked about to me doesn't sound overly expensive, but talk to us generally about the sort of cost of getting on top of these things, and perhaps the cost versus what you gain in efficiencies.
Yeah, I mean, you know, poor solutions cause downtime. On average, we see, well, the UK sees 54 minutes per employee per week wasted due to IT downtime. So put a figure on that of what your staff's hourly rate is. You know, it's expensive not to look at these kind of solutions.
Yeah.
The beauty of all of these things, you know, this is very cheap. Really, this is just the time that you need to set aside to focus on pitfalls in your systems, rather than investing much more. You know, some of the automation piece is very low cost, takes a bit of time, so it's working on your business rather than working in the business, kind of typical thing. You know, you may be paying you know, 10 to 20 pounds more for a certain license so that you can automate one part of a role. But if you look at the cost association with that, you know, it's almost a no-brainer. Yeah, it's a lot of it is down to creating personalized solutions for the business, and that just takes time most of the time. But you know, that really should be the responsibility of the IT department or company to spearhead that.
Talk to me specifically about Genmar, because I know that you guys work with a range of different customers, but particularly also estate agency systems. You know your way around them, you know how we work. Now, I know that each estate agent, as you just said, actually has its own sort of workflow, it has its own processes, and we all consider ourselves unique, but there is a commonality in terms of the service delivery and the sort of tech that we tend to use as well. So for anybody that's not currently using you, and if they were to sort of want to come across and talk to you about this, where do you start, and what sort of service do you offer?
So there are some, if we're talking about the automation side again, there are some kind of off-the-shelf solutions where they're going to work for every estate agency. You know, it's ways to automate staff coming and going, and you know, there's in each CRM, you know, Repit has great automations that you can pretty much just install from the start, and lots of the other CRMs do a good job of that as well. The personalization point is where we go through your whole system and look at like a holistic solution, which is all your other systems, and actually get them to marry together and maybe create reports, you know, live business intelligence based off of all your different softwares and CRMs that you're using. So we'd start from talking to you know, the management team and trying to get an idea of where they feel like the mundane tasks are taking up too much time, and take a look at what they do day to day and see what they have automated and what they haven't. But generally speaking, you know, our objective is to work with more estate agents that, you know, are interested in this kind of thing, you know, hungry for growth and development and things like that. And you know, we want to be hitting their company's goals through technology, rather than just being a reactive IT support company waiting for issues to happen. We want to be there to help you make strategic IT decisions that are going to hit your goals, whether that be, you know, increasing your revenue, reducing your employee retention, you know, whatever it takes. That's our objective, to hit the same goals as yourselves.
Yeah, it's a fascinating perspective, and I think that I'd encourage any agent that hasn't already looked at what role their IT and their tech can play in making their employees' lives a lot better, and a lot more efficient, and actually sort of save money in the long run, because retention of employees, it's hard enough anyway. So even if you've got the best tech in the world, we still need to provide a work environment that is challenging yet rewarding, supportive, you know, all of the sort of things that people are looking for, offer that sort of flexibility and progression. So, you know, there's a myriad of different things that a boss will need to get their head around, but you don't want clunky sort of IT and repetitive processes getting in the way of that in any event. So I think there's just so much that can be gained by learning about this and talking to you guys a little bit more. So Ellis, I just wanted to thank you for your time this morning. It's really been a sort of a fresh and unique take on it.
Yeah, thank you very much. I know it's a little bit of a different one, but yeah, we'll be releasing a little ebook that will go through some of the more studies and have some sources on the information that we used in this. So we'll be sending that out to some people as well if they're interested.
Yeah, fantastic. Let us have a copy of it, and we'll put a link to it here with the post as well. So there you had it. You've heard from Ellis from Genmar IT, and I can't speak highly enough about this particular service that they offer. I think it's something that, as estate agents, we very often think we've got IT support. We think about hardware, we think about networks, we think about being connected. We don't necessarily think about the efficiencies that we can gain by using our software better, and we don't really think to talk to our IT professionals about it. You may talk to your service providers, or you may talk to the supplier themselves and say, how can we deal with this? But don't forget, the suppliers will very often be looking at how their product serves your team, as opposed to sort of widening it out and seeing how all these different products can speak together and the efficiencies that you can gain. So to me, I cannot rate this highly enough. There is an absolute world of experience there at Genmar. They have dealt with lots and lots of estate agencies, and there's a few tricks they've picked up along the way. So definitely, if you haven't already got this in place, give it a go. I mean, what we've said during this discussion is that we never know when we might need to rely more heavily on that tech to be able to work in a sort of a more detached or automated fashion. And I think it really sort of future-proofs our businesses as much as possible and helps us to sort of deliver that fantastic customer service that the tech enable us to deliver. So thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.